January 2026.
26.
This is the Atlant Aero plant, an industrial factory located in Taganrog, Russia. Here, the Russians produce thousands of Mounia drones, cheap drones made of plywood and styrofoam. Despite the fragile material, they are extremely effective and they have an advantage. Each one costs about $850. Now look at the same factory, 48 hours later, destroyed, completely burned, production paralyzed. What Ukraine did on the night of January 13 completely changed the dynamics of this air war. Keep watching because we're going to show you every detail of this operation. But to fully understand what happened in Taganrog in the early hours of January 13 and why this attack was so devastating for Russia, we need to go back a bit. We need to understand what makes the Mounia drone such a serious threat and why Ukraine decided to spend expensive missiles to destroy this specific factory. The Mounia drone sounds like a joke. If you saw one of these on the ground, you'd think it's a school project. Two aluminum tubes forming the structure, wings made of laser-cut plywood, styrofoam covered with wire, plastic film. It looks like it was put together in a garage, but don't be fooled by its appearance. This simple drone has a feature that makes it practically invisible. Wood and styrofoam don't reflect radar waves, while metal drones show up on air defense screens as bright spots. The Mounia vanishes like a ghost, flying at 120 kilometers per hour and carrying death beneath its wings. From 3 to 5 kilograms of explosives, the equivalent of a heavy mortar bomb. But in some cases, the Russians attach anti-tank mines underneath it. Then the weight goes up to 10 kilograms, enough to destroy an armored vehicle or blow up an ammunition depot. The range is 30 to 40 kilometers in the older versions, but the new models can already fly 60 kilometers. This means that Ukrainian soldiers who thought they were safe in the rear, far from the front line, suddenly saw these drones appear out of nowhere. But Russia didn't stop there, and what they did next is impressive. They turned Mounia into a mother drone. Imagine the scene. The drone takes off carrying two smaller drones attached under its wings, and it flies 50 kilometers into Ukrainian territory. Once there, it releases the smaller drones, and those drones start hunting for targets. Artillery batteries, supply trucks, command posts, targets that never imagined they could be hit so far from the front lines. It's a two-stage system. Mounia carries the small drones far out, and the small drones do the dirty work up close. Fixed wing range combined with the simple, lethal, and cheap precision of a quadcopter. Another issue for Ukraine. Ukrainians excel at electronic warfare. They jam radio signals, interfere with frequencies, and bring down Russian drones, making them lose control. But Russia found a solution: fiber optics. They connected some Mounia using a physical cable that unrolls as the drone flies, reaching up to 20 kilometers. Do you know what that means? It means there's no radio signal to block, no frequency to interfere with. The drone is literally connected by wire to the operator, impossible to interfere with. Analysts then discovered something even more shocking in the downed Mounia drones. Starlink terminals, yes, Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite internet, inside Russian drones, even though Starlink doesn't officially operate in Russia. Terminals smuggled through third-party countries were being installed in these plywood drones. And this changes everything because now Russian operators can control these drones from literally anywhere on the planet, with no distance limit, no need for line of sight. Global satellite internet controlling 850 drones made of wood. All the electronic components of these drones come from China. Commercial cameras, cheap flight controllers, even computers running regular Windows, all available on the market, all easy to replace. And this is exactly where the Atlant Aero factory comes in. That factory was more than an assembly warehouse, it was a full facility. They did everything inside there. The design, prototyping, manufacturing of parts, final assembly, flight tests, everything. And they were expanding. Satellite images showed that one of the buildings had been built recently. In early 2025, production was increasing. More drones, faster, greater threat. Ukraine knew this and made a decision. That factory needed to be completely destroyed. And then came the early morning of January 13th, 2026, 5 o'clock in the morning in Kyiv, 6 o'clock in the morning in Moscow. Taganrog was still in the dark, the city was sleeping, and then the sirens started. But this time it was different. They weren't slow drones that the Russian air defense was used to intercept. They were fast, heavy, lethal missiles, and the choice to use missiles was not accidental. Drones carry small bombs, 20, maybe 50 kilos. They can start fires, they can cause damage, but they rarely completely destroy industrial facilities. Heavy machinery can withstand it, concrete structures hold up, but missiles are different. Missiles carry warheads from 150 to 500 kilos. They don't just damage, they obliterate. They penetrate reinforced concrete. They destroy specialized machinery. They turn factories into ruins. And that's exactly what happened. The security service of Ukraine coordinated the operation together with the Navy, probably using Neptune missiles, originally designed to sink ships but adapted for land attacks. Or maybe the new Ukrainian ballistic missiles that Zelensky revealed in December. We don't know exactly which missiles were used, but we do know the result. The missiles hit the production buildings with surgical precision, the manufacturing workshops, the testing laboratories, the electronic component warehouses. Residents of Taganrog reported a series of violent explosions and then saw the sky turn orange. Fire, a lot of fire. Videos published by Russian channels showed huge flames consuming the industrial structure. The fire was so intense that it could be seen from miles away. And then the secondary explosion started. Batteries catching fire, fuel exploding, and possibly even warheads meant for the drones. The factory was burning from the inside out. 2 days later, satellite images confirmed the extent of the disaster. The main assembly building was destroyed, the roof had collapsed, the interior was burned, and crucially, that new building, which had been built in 2 years, was destroyed as well. Ukraine didn't just hit current production, it hit future expansion, and the assessment from Ukrainian intelligence was straightforward. The destruction of that factory will drastically reduce Russian drone production. The specialized machines that cut plywood with lasers were destroyed, the testing equipment that checked each drone before flight was lost, and the technical expertise concentrated in that location was scattered. Rebuilding may take months or years. But there was more because Atlant Aero wasn't the only target that night. A few kilometers away, there's another critical facility, the Beriev complex. And that place is even more important than the drone factory. The Beriev complex. It's where Russia keeps its strategic bombers, those giant planes that launch cruise missiles against Ukrainian cities. Without this facility for maintenance and repairs, those bombers start to stay grounded. And there's more. The complex also takes care of the early warning aircraft, those planes that fly high and detect everything that moves in the sky, fighters, missiles, drones. They are Russia's eyes in the sky. And Ukraine had already destroyed 2 of these planes in 2024, and Russia had only 6 left. Without the Beriev complex to repair them, each damaged plane is permanently out of service. Russia was going blind in the sky, and this wasn't the first attack on the complex. In November 2025, Ukraine had already hit the site and destroyed 2 rare experimental aircraft. The January attack was the second blow, a deliberate strategy of attacking, letting them try to recover, and attacking again, a double strike, maximum damage. But what makes all of this even more significant is one thing. The missiles used in this attack were Ukrainian, made in Ukraine. They weren't Western weapons with political restrictions on their use, and they didn't need approval from Washington or London. Ukraine produced its own missiles and can now strike whenever it wants, wherever it wants, without asking for permission. If the United Kingdom keeps its promises, Ukraine will get more missiles. British short-range missiles specifically designed to devastate targets near the border. The Nightfall project could begin testing as early as the end of 2026. More missiles, more options, more headaches. For Putin, the Taganrog incident wasn't just another attack, but a demonstration. Ukraine showed that it can destroy Russian factories with deadly precision, and that it has enough of its own missiles to use them instead of cheap drones. And it showed that it is willing to systematically destroy Russia's industrial war capability, because modern wars are not won just by victories in the factories, and Ukraine has just burned down one of Russia's most important ones. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think attacks on Russian factories are more effective than battles on the battlefield? Leave your thoughts here in the comments, and if you like this content, share it. Share it with those who need to know what's really happening in this war. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. See you next time.